Tell me if this sounds familiar. Your friend just got their third tattoo. Your coworker is showing off their new sleeve. Your Instagram feed is literally a gallery of fresh ink. Meanwhile, you are sitting there with completely blank skin. And for some reason, people think you are the weird one. But here is the twist. Choosing to stay tattoo-free is way more psychologically complex than you would think. While everyone is analyzing why people get tattoos, almost nobody talks about the people who do not. If you are currently the only person in your friend group without a tattoo, type the number 1 inch the comments right now. Stick with me, because the science behind your choice is about to blow your mind. Let us start with the obvious reason, which is permanence. But wait, before you think, well, duh, let me blow your mind for a second. We live in a world where people will sign 30-year mortgages without blinking. Marriage, sure, let us do it. Kids absolutely talk about Think about the absurdity of that for a moment. You will commit to a debt for 3 decades or raise a human being for life, but ink is where you draw the line. But a small tattoo on their ankle, oh no, that is too permanent. The psychology here is actually incredible. It is called future self-continuity. And it is this concept where some people have a really hard time connecting with their future selves. They literally cannot imagine being the same person in 20 years. To them, getting a tattoo feels like making a binding decision for a stranger. A stranger who happens to share their body. This is a profound psychological block where the person you will become feels totally alien to the person you are today. And honestly, they might be onto something. Studies show that our personalities can shift dramatically over decades. That edgy skull you loved at 19 your 45-year-old self might have opinions about that choice. So it is not that you are afraid of commitment or too scared to make a mark. You are simply protecting your future self from the whims of your present self. But this fear of locking things down goes even deeper than just potential regret. People without tattoos often have higher scores on something psychologists call temporal discounting awareness. Basically, they are really, really good at imagining future regret before it actually happens. It is not indecisiveness like your friends might claim, but rather a form of hyper-rational, future-focused thinking. But here is where the psychology gets even weirder because some people without tattoos have what researchers call a fluid identity orientation. Sounds fancy, right? But here's what it actually means for your daily life. These individuals see themselves as constantly evolving works in progress. They do not want to cement any part of their identity because they are simply not done figuring out who they are. And get this, they might never feel done, and that is okay. Think about it for a second because a tattoo is a definitive statement. It says, this specific thing matters to me enough to make it permanent right now. But what if you are the kind of person who finds meaning in not making permanent statements? What if your whole philosophy is staying adaptable, changeable, and free from past declarations about who you were or what you loved? There is actually a psychological concept that relates to this called identity foreclosure. This happens when you commit to an identity without fully exploring who you really are. People who avoid tattoos sometimes fear closing off future versions of themselves by making permanent choices in the present. If you are still watching and this resonates with you, comment the number 3 below so I know you are passionate about discovering yourself. But plot twist, this is not always healthy. Some psychologists suggest it can sometimes indicate a deeper fear of commitment or a lack of self-knowledge. Not always, but sometimes. The line between staying open to growth and avoiding self-defining can get pretty blurry. And this internal battle often spills over into how we navigate the external world and deal with judgment. Now, before the tattoo-free crowd gets too defensive, let us talk about something most people will not admit. Social conformity and professional perception play a huge role here. Despite tattoos becoming more mainstream, there is still this subconscious calculation happening in some people's brains. They are running a constant cost-benefit analysis, asking themselves, will this affect how I am perceived professionally, or will my family approve? And here is the kicker, because people without tattoos tend to be more aware of social expectations and potential judgment. They care deeply about controlling how others perceive them, and permanent body art feels like giving up some of that critical control. Research has shown that individuals who avoid tattoos often engage in what psychologists call impression management. They are strategic about how they present themselves to the world. They see tattoos as a variable they cannot easily control once it is permanent, unlike clothing or hair, which can change with the situation. But let us be real for a second. Is this wisdom or anxiety? Because that is the million-dollar question. If you like this video so far, comment the number 0 below, but if you do not like this video, then go ahead and hit that like button just to spite me. Some of these people are being strategic and thoughtful regarding their future. Others might be limiting their self-expression because they are too worried about external judgment. The psychology here is not inherently good or bad, it is just revealing about how different people navigate social landscapes. But there is one more reason people skip tattoos that nobody talks about, and it is actually kind of beautiful. Some people view their tattoo-free skin as a conscious choice, not a lack of one. There is this whole philosophy around keeping your body as it came not from a place of fear or judgment, but from genuine appreciation. It is almost like minimalism, but for your skin, where these individuals see their unmarked body as a form of simplicity. Psychologically, this often relates to something called intrinsic identity orientation. This is the profound belief that who you are exists independent of any external markers or symbols. These people do not need a tattoo to remind them what they love or who they are because they carry that stuff internally. And there is something kind of powerful about that, right? In a world that is constantly screaming, express yourself, stand out, and make a statement, choosing not to participate is its own form of rebellion. We have created this cultural narrative that ink equals meaning, but meaning does not need a medium. Think about it like this: you do not forget your mother's face because you do not have her tattooed on your arm. The absence of external symbols does not equal the absence of internal meaning. For some people, that is just how they operate with everything that matters to them. So here is the truth regarding the psychology of people who never get tattoos. It is just as complex, valid, and fascinating as the psychology of people who do. It is not about being boring or scared. It is about future thinking, identity, fluidity, social awareness, and sometimes just a different philosophy about what it means to be yourself in your own skin. And maybe that is what makes this topic so interesting, because sometimes the absence of a choice reveals just as much about human psychology as the choice itself. Whether you are covered in ink or completely blank, the most important question is not what you choose. It is whether you are making that choice consciously, authentically, and for yourself. Because at the end of the day, both paths are just different ways of answering the same question. Who am I, and how do I want to show up in this world? If this video made you think differently about tattoos or the lack thereof, hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps us keep making videos that challenge how you see the world.